Welcome, everyone. This is episode 7 of the Camera Stew podcast.
I'm Dr. Dan.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Tim.
This episode's guest is photographer Byron Newman. We're here at Little River Studios in Miami, Florida, where Shoot the Centerfold is having another weekend seminar. Byron Newman was born in London, UK, and studied photography at the London College of Printing. His major project was to launch and design DELUXE Quarterly magazine in the late 70s. Then he moved to Paris and was appointed art director of the French and American editions of Mode International. Byron Newman has regularly contributed to Playboy USA and Playboy Special Editions for over 25 years. Clients included Louis Magazine and Playboy USA and Playboy Foreign Editions. In his spare time, he plays guitar and sings in the rock group Senior Service, currently gigging around the UK.
We are recording live during the seminars. Bear with us, there's some background noise from the instructors and students. If you go to our YouTube site, you can see some of the behind the scenes while we're talking away with our guests. If you haven't attended one of the Shoot the Centerfold seminars, this is a must-see event. You'll receive world-class instruction from the industry's leading photographers in fashion and glamour photography.
Sponsors for this show are Lightwear, maker of the finest photography equipment cases on the planet, if I don't say it so myself. The choice for some of the world's top professional photographers. You can see a full range of their products on lightwearinc.com. Foursquare, the innovative, lightweight, modular softboxes and light modifiers for use with speedlights and full-size strobe heads. The Foursquare block can be adapted to just about any speedlight currently being made. Dr. Dan's highlight discs. They give a big studio strobe a very unique and precise highlighting effect. Available exclusively at lightweardirect.com. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Camera Stew.
Okay.
Was that a swear word?
That was.
Yes, it was.
That was a
In
swear
the digital
word.
world, that was a big swear word. It was a ginormous swear word.
Exactly right. So welcome.
Thank
Byron,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. It's
Thank
always
you.
great to see you.
Thank you. Same here.
You know, I remember our first conversation. It was on the STC, probably about 3... What?
Yeah, we need to let everyone know who we're speaking to.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Byron Newman. Famous
Newman.
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 No, not new. New.
Oh, new. Is that better?
Yeah.
Newman.
Yeah.
Newman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we had this wonderful conversation. It was in the evening. In between the STC, there was an evening little dinner party.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we talked for about an hour and a half about music.
Right.
That was, to this day, I get chills thinking about getting acquainted with you and talking with you and just chatting about all the great music greats.
Right.
And that was very early on in your career, as I recall.
Yeah.
You shooting, I thought, did I remember right? It was David Bowie you shot?
Yeah, I shot for Cream magazine.
Right.
Shortly after I left college, and Bowie certainly I photographed a lot. Iggy Pop I photographed a lot. But Captain Beefheart, the Grateful Dead, Pete Townsend, a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Now, was that something that early on that you loved? Did you love music, that you wanted to make images in music, or was it just you were in the right place at the right time?
That's a good question. I don't quite know the answer to it. I certainly like music. My music taste is sort of set firmly in the past, of course.
Well, that's quite all right.
Yeah.
We're there together.
Right.
And I'd met Bowie socially, and he asked me to photograph him, and so that's what I did until I got. He wasn't actually going anywhere at that time, and he just as I finished photographing, he started to break. He made Hunky Dory.
Right.
And I saw him got booed off the stage and having tomatoes thrown at him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, get off the
my
stage, you
God.
fucking puff, all this sort of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because in '69 he made Space Oddity.
Right.
Then there was a gap of 5 years before he made it again. So he was considered a one-hit wonder.
It was really 73 he really took off, wasn't it? Wasn't it a 73 tour that
73, probably Hunky Dory was the
Got
first
it.
album he really took off.
Got it.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so how long did you photograph the music? I was eavesdropping earlier this morning, and I was just trying to figure out what
I suppose from about 72 through to 77, so not a very long time.
Okay.
Not a very long time. I didn't photograph that many people. And I didn't photograph gigs very much. It was usually interview situations or
Right.
dressing rooms or backstage, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, if you're photographing gigs, there's 20 photographers there. They're all getting the
they're
same.
all
getting the same shot.
I would use a word, but
Right.
that's exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did that segue? Now after that though, you were talking to me about a book that you had done. You went down to France. Was it France?
In 81 in Paris, yeah.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Right. Tell us about that.
Well, I'd moved to Paris to art director a magazine there.
Yeah.
And as you may know, street prostitution in Paris is very open, it's on the street, and you see it everywhere. And I became sort of fascinated by it in a purely visual way.
Of course, yes. Very voyeuristic, yes.
And my wife, who was a big influence on my work and my life, said, you can either be a voyeur or you can do something about this, and we can do a book together on it.
Oh, wow.
And so she pushed...
So she was instrumental. She just kind of pushed you right into it.
I couldn't have done it without her. I mean,
Excellent.
If I'd done it by myself, I would have been a punter.
Yeah.
Right.
I would have had to pay, and I wouldn't have got the pictures,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My wife is very small French actress, very theatrical, very, very feminine, and they loved her. And so they opened up to her, and that got us to meet one, and then
terrific.
more.
Terrific.
It snowballed.
Yes.
And it was... she was great. She was marvellous. All I had to do was take pictures. She took care of everything else. And that's pretty much true of most of my career. I was there to take the pictures. She did the production, the styling, and everything.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, what great support.
Yeah, marvellous.
Yeah. And so now there's renewed interest in these images.
Big new interest, yeah. I mean, there's a magazine here called Pony Step, which is it's a bit like Love magazine, big fat. They did 26 pages on the book last year, 36 years after it was done.
Oh my
And
God.
now Dazed and Confused, which is really the fashionista's Bible, really.
Yes.
Want to do something as well.
Oh,
So there's a big
fantastic.
interest, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so in producing all that work, how many images do you think you went
we
through?
did it-
Thousands,
we did it-
hundreds of thousands?
No, we did it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And we shot about 5,000 images.
Wow.
Back in that was a lot of film.
Yeah.
That was a lot of film.
Yeah.
Was it all 35, or did you do any 120?
No,
or-
all 35.
All 35.
And working in very cramped and difficult conditions. I had a little dedicated flash on top of the camera.
Oh, okay.
Nothing
So-
sophisticated at all.
so
But
you
that's
really-
what gives it an immediacy,
Exactly.
And the roughness and the rawness, I think, when I pass on to somewhere else, well, God knows, I think that is the work I'll probably remember for, and I'm quite happy with that,
Yeah.
Excellent. So after that, what did you start pursuing?
Well, I then, I'd moved to Paris to Art Director magazine, which didn't last very long. It was launched in America, and it was never launched in America because there was a mistake by production manager. They got the date wrong on the cover, and the whole run had to be pulled. So the owner, who was extremely wealthy, pulled the plug on the magazine. So I was then expensive flat, because I had a good salary in this magazine and no employment. So I went to see Louis magazine. With my wife as well, who's French.
Who introduced you?
Yeah.
Made the arrangement. Was your agent? Negotiated the money.
Greased the wheel,
Okay,
so to
Byron.
speak.
We start tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it wasn't as simple as that. I went in, and I hadn't really photographed women very much. Most of my work was fashion and reportage and things. And they had a look and they said, "Yeah, quite nice, but you're never going to work for us." We got a photographer called Francis Jacobetti. He was an absolute master in the trade. He said, "We don't need another photographer."
Yeah.
So I said, fine. So I went away and I studied Francis Jacobetti like crazy, and I hired some hot lights because they only use hot lights. You weren't allowed to use flash. Studied, did a shoot using these lights. Went back and they thought, "Hey, these are great." They gave me my first job, and within about a month I was on the staff.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's the strange thing about my career. It sounds a bit conceited, but I never really had to sort of work on it. It happened.
Just happened.
It happened.
Yeah.
But you have
really.
the right wife.
It certainly helped.
Yeah.
I don't deny her contribution at all.
Yes.
It certainly helped. Yeah.
Oh,
of course
my
it
God.
did. Yeah. And she was also my stylist and my producer.
Exactly.
And a brilliant one.
When you have that all in the home plate,
Yeah.
it's hard not to lose.
Boy, that's the hardest part for me. Just styling the shoot, getting that
styling, the
down.
makeup, the hair, the perspective.
Being in Denver, it's hard to find a good stylist that can do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God.
As I was saying in my talk, get a woman stylist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Men's vision of women is so crap.
Myopic.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow.
As long as don't go
Pretty
there.
focused.
Yeah, as long as it's black and small,
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
It's bollocks, isn't it?
Oh God. So how you were with Louis for a while?
Yeah.
And then how did you get Playboy's attention? How did that happen?
The editor of Louis was being moved on to become editor of Elle, which is pretty fucking weird, men's magazines are one.
Yeah.
Well, because Louis was, it was never, pigeonholed like maybe Playboy was or other men. It was a very fashionable magazine.
Yeah.
And today, as you know, it's extremely fashionable. All the top models are queuing up to be in it.
Yeah.
So he suggested I contact Playboy. I had no idea about. I always wanted to work with Playboy. It was the golden apple, if you like.
Yeah.
The pie in the sky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I looked on the masthead of the magazine, Gary Cole, and I've met a model who I thought had terrific potential. So I sent the pictures over to Gary.
Yeah.
He came back. He's done the model's marvelous, but I've also been following your work in Europe. Come over with the model to Chicago, shoot a centerfold, and we'll see how it goes. So I went over to Chicago, never having used a plate camera before, 10.8. Got a very good assistant given to me, so he did everything. I just pressed the button, and it was accepted. And within a month after that, Gary phoned me up and offered me a contract.
No kidding. That must have been just excitement, because here's the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. What was that like? Were you just like...
It was pretty exciting. I mean, he offered, I don't know what he offered. He offered me not a very large amount of money as a contract a year.
Yeah.
Brigitte negotiated it up considerably. And over the years, it went up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And it was only exclusive in America, so I could work for all the foreign editions of Playboy. I could work for other magazines in Europe. So I had a sort of income base at quite a high level. And then everything above that was cream on the pie,
Sure. Right. Oh, that's terrific. That is terrific. So tell me about your style lighting, what you prefer. I mean, a lot of the things that I've seen has been, continuous light or natural light coming in.
Yeah.
So tell me about how did that evolve? Was that just something like, I'm just going to do it
No.
Was that the impetus from Francis Giacometti, the trying to follow that lead?
Well, yeah.
In essence,
you were not allowed to shoot strobes.
Strobes.
So I had to shoot tungsten light.
Oh.
So you forced yourself into the corner and learned it.
Yeah, I didn't have any choice. And once I'd learnt it, I decided that's the way I'll carry on. Everybody's shooting strobe. I was one of the very few people using constant light. And it gave my pictures
entirely different
different
look.
feel.
Yeah. Feel, look, sense, space. Yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
Just different.
I think one of the secrets of being successful is that if your images are instantly recognizable as yours, and that's what made mine look different, and gave me my style. I also concentrated because, the French are quite have a sneaky admiration for the English, and the English sort of not quite so much for.
Oh, is that right?
They do. They wouldn't admit it. They think the English sort of classy, and so I made my pictures very British.
Oh,
I always had elements of Britishness in English and England. Cliched ideas of Britishness, bowler hats and fog and umbrellas. Which aren't really there, but it's everybody's idea of what.
Yeah, the perception of it all.
And that also sort of gave me a niche, if you like.
Yeah.
And I did that. I was constantly asked by Playboy to do things, which were very British girls, this, that, and the other. So that was also, one of the things which helped me climb the slippery slope, really.
Wow. Now, did you have any direct access or conversations with Hef himself, or was it all through Gary and things like that?
About 3 years before I started working Playboy, my wife had a movie which had been made 10 years prior, and it was bought up by 20th Century Fox.
Oh.
So we were invited to launch the movie around America, to do a tour of America.
Yeah.
And I was a movie star's husband.
Yes.
And as part of her tour, we ended up in LA. She was Celebrity of the Day in Los Angeles, and Hefner invited us to the mansion.
Oh.
So 3 years before I started working Playboy, I was just a celebrity's husband.
Yes.
And I met Hefner, and then 3 years later I was working Playboy. So it was, nothing was planned like that. It was quite weird.
Well, that must have gave you fuel, like, I really want to work for Playboy.
Yeah. Yeah, I always admired Playboy lighting. I couldn't work out how it was done, really, and it looked incredibly sophisticated and complicated, you know. And so I studied it.
Well,
like
Arnie
hell,
made
you
it that way.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. 32 lights.
32,
Oh my
42.
God. Yeah,
Oh.
42. Holy cow. Yeah.
Put a grid over there on that piece of dirt on the floor, would you?
Yeah. Just a piece of, just a 10-degree
Make
grid on
it a
that.
10-degree grid.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
make it a 3.
Yeah,
Turn the
yeah.
power up.
But you know, it wasn't my bag to shoot centerfolds. I shot one centerfold. I shot 3 or 4 centerfolds. Only one was ever accepted. It wasn't my bag. I didn't like the restrictions. I didn't like the formula. My bag was to do conceptual things. I was given a word, an idea, and then I conceptualized a pictorial around it. And that was my bag, really. It always was.
Excellent.
I used to go into a darkened room, put a cold compress on my head, and come up with these ideas. And that's the part I enjoyed, you know. I never really enjoyed taking photographs. I enjoyed styling, propping, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But taking the mechanics of taking photographs, I always found rather tedious, actually.
Yeah. Well, your ideas, what was the source of your ideas? Was it, you know, just you're sitting there all of a sudden
Darkened room and cold compress, mate.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I'm fairly well educated. I'm quite widely read. I've
Yes.
had an interest in art. I studied art history. I studied fine art. So I had a fairly broad sort of bank account to draw on, you know, and I drew on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me about your recreation of the French Revolution, I believe it was, that you did. Tell me about the styling. I mean, that must have taken 2-3 months to plan.
It took a long time.
I mean, that's an amazing image. It's like a Dutch well, it's like a Dutch master's image.
Yeah,
The way it's lit.
It's based on the sort of the way Delacroix lit the famous storming of the Bastille.
Yes.
With the one bare-breasted woman and the French flag.
Right.
It was,
Correct.
Lighting was sort of based on that, really. You know, very accented light and smoke and chaos, basically. You know.
Right.
Yeah, the preparation took much longer than the shoot. When I was actually shooting, I had several people, because when you've got 17 people in a picture, one person does it wrong and the picture's fucked.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
So I had people watching little groups, you know, making sure they were doing what I'd instructed them to do.
So that's how you do it. You had someone just focus on those two people.
Yeah.
They have to be the certain way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd instructed what people I wanted to do, and they were watched like hawks, you know.
Yeah.
Because one person fucks up and the picture's buggered.
Right. Now, were you shooting an 8x10 plate on that?
No, I was shooting 5 by sorry, I forgot what the formula's called. The one under 5.4.
4x5.
Yeah.
4x.
No, not
No?
4x5.
2 1/4, 6 by 7,
two and
6
a
by
quarter.
9.
2 1/4.
Hasselblad, I think.
Hasselblad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How many takes did that take before you knew you had it? Or did you have to come back the next day after a rush?
The idea of the picture was several big tableaus, you know, like the before the revolution, during the revolution, in the Bastille, the royalty being taken to the guillotine. So those were the big tableaus all shot on medium format camera. And then in between there, all these fillers shot on 35mm, which is just stuff around those. You know, that allowed magazines to run. I think German Playboy ran 36 pages on it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Louis did a special edition on it, just those pictures in a magazine.
Wow.
And
Fantastic.
it was printed all around the world. It was
Yeah.
huge, you know, huge.
Amazing. Huh. So now...
But it cost so much money to do.
Yeah.
And Playboy got in quite a lot of trouble. I had to get money from American Playboy. I floated the idea to American Playboy. They said, French Revolution, we weren't really interested in that, you know. So I got Dutch Playboy to put money into it. I got Phil Apache in France to put money into it, and I got an Italian company to put money into it. And it was quite expensive.
Yeah.
And when Christy Hefner found out that Playboy had collaborated with other publishers to produce a pictorial, she freaked.
Really?
Completely freaked, apparently.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, she said, we just don't do that, you know, with Playboy. Anyway, when American Playboy saw the pictorial, they wanted it, and they paid me for it, and they ran, I think, 12 pages on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I remember, when did that
So
come
you were...
out?
Well, it was the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution, so it was 1789, so 1989.
I remember that issue. I remember seeing that.
You were probably a little boy sort of in the toilet with a stick mag.
Well, you know, a little bit older than that, but yes.
I like the analogy.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? What do you do now photographically?
I photograph on an iPad.
Is that right?
Yeah. I do shots for myself, really. I mean, I do the occasional job.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to do is photograph women now. I
Really?
photograph old men. I photograph landscapes. You know, I don't want to photograph women any longer.
Yeah.
It's not good for you to photograph women too long, you know. Fucks up your life, actually. It does. I'm not kidding you. It gives you a very distorted idea of how women should look and how women should be. And I also find getting older, I feel it's a bit inappropriate, you know.
Oh.
I mean, as a young man, it was
was
fine, but I feel like a bit like a dirty old man now, you know.
I was going to
I
say.
don't really
yeah.
want to feel like that, actually.
Right.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably am a dirty old man. I just
Yeah.
don't want to feel like it, you know.
Yeah.
So why did you choose the iPad? Because it's big, you can see it easily.
I like
me.
I like composing on a big screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I did a lot of pictures in Africa. Because it's a Muslim country, they don't like being photographed, you know.
Oh, is that right?
And I put it in a plastic bag and went around the market shooting from the hip, you know.
Right.
Got some amazing results, and it's so exciting because you've got no idea what you got until you get back home and look at
Yeah.
it. You've got to reframe and crop a bit, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But it's very exciting.
Oh,
And
wow.
I now do black. I used an app. I know exactly what I need to get in terms of the image on. And so I know what I need to do to be able to manipulate it afterwards. And I do quite a lot of manipulation of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What app do you like to use?
It's called Snapseed.
Snapseed.
Oh, that
okay,
was
yeah.
the one that Google. Was it Google?
Yeah, that Google acquired from
Nick.
Nick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can do tiny areas of selective adjustment and things. It's fabulous. And you just take a color picture and convert it into black and white, and it just looks like a 10 by 8 plate camera shot.
No kidding.
You can't blow it up more than 10:8, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts
Yeah.
to break up, but at that size, it looks fabulous.
I hadn't realized that. I haven't tried that app.
I've
I
got-
have to try that.
I've got some on. I don't have my iPad with me. I could bring it tomorrow. You can take some images.
absolutely.
I'd love to see that. Yeah. That'd be terrific.
Yeah.
So, how did you get involved with STC? How did this kind of come about?
Well, I used to come to Miami every year to shoot Girls of Summer for SE, and they brought me here in the winter for 4 weeks to
Yeah.
shoot, and I did that for about 5 years. And it was my little treat, it was my gig, and then
Uh-oh.
they found Jamo in Miami, so it was more expensive to bring me over. And I lost the gig, and I hated him for that.
Oh.
And then out of the blue, he called me up and said, I'm setting up this deal, this STC thing,
Yeah.
and would you like to come over? And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to keep my secrets very close to my chest, I wouldn't tell it.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want people to know how I do this shit,
Yeah.
I've spent years doing this.
Yeah,
Why should I give it all away?
Right.
But, when I scaled down my operation, I thought, be a bit more altruistic.
Very good. Well, we do appreciate that. I certainly love your style and how you create that just gorgeous glow. That's what
Thank
I
you.
love.
Thank
It
you.
is. I mean, the images, you just snap, you look right away, you go, it has that glow that I remember.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's a softer
amazing.
light. It's a softer light than stone, and it's a very flattering light.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's what set me apart, really. I think.
But learning how to manipulate it is the key.
Yeah. It's
really the
well,
key.
it's not that complicated. It really is.
It's really not that.
I'm a big fan of bounce light. I bounce
Yeah.
all my light. I never use direct light.
Right.
I mean, I really like best shooting with daylight, maybe augmenting it a bit with HMI or something, but daylight. I love chasing light. I shoot in a lot of big country houses and things. First time I shoot there, I watch where the light's going during the day, and the second time I go chasing the light, and using the natural light coming through windows and things and on the floor and stuff. That's what I really like doing.
Well, when you were posing the girls, did you find that it was difficult to communicate, or they kind of were fussy with you at all? Do you remember any of those stories? But
They were terrified of me.
Really?
I was not particularly.
well, you're a pussycat. I mean, come on.
I'm more of a pussycat now than I was.
Oh, is that right?
I was never very. Models liked the results, so a lot of models wanted to work with me. I don't think they enjoyed the process at all.
Really?
I never have music on my set. I never flatter models. Alex saying always compliment. I never complimented models. I always expected models to be professional enough to have, enough confidence in themselves to do the job.
Yeah.
It wasn't my job to nanny them. When I went on a trip, there's a lot of nannying going on because otherwise they were lying in the sun and getting sunburnt or going out all night partying, and so there's a big element of that in nannying. But in the studio situation or in location studio in England, my instructions to models were purely sort of mechanical.
Yeah.
Drop your chin a bit, turn your face that way, turn your hand sideways, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, did you learn all that posing by studying the great artists? I mean, learning how to direct a young lady to look her best. I mean, it's not something that one just. It's kind of. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Or did you just come by it naturally? I mean, you're so aesthetic in the form that you just said, okay, to the right.
Just kind of figured it out along the way.
I mean, I encourage models not to pose too much, I mean, I put them in a pose.
Keep it real.
Keep it real. That's the secret for me. It's always been the secret for me. And also nudity in context or completely out of context, but nowhere in between.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly.
If a girl's on a beach, is she going to be wearing a negligee?
No.
Or lingerie?
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the best styling is no styling quite often. If the girl's got the figure for it, no styling is the best way to go. I used to do styling with little bits of driftwood I found and a bit of rope and stuff,
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Keeping it appropriate is the word, I think.
Now, does your wife do makeup as well?
No, she didn't. No.
She did styling though.
Styling and producing. Yeah.
And so you would always have to hire a makeup.
Yeah, but I used
the makeup and hair. Did you have a team?
I used
a guy and a
the
gal.
For the first 18 years, I used the same makeup artist all the time.
Right.
She then moved back to America, so that after that I used 3 or 4 different makeup artists. But I used one totally. She's called Patty Byron, and she was an incredible makeup artist.
Yeah, you learn to rely on someone, and you just don't have to. You
don't instruct them. They know.
Right.
They
They
know
know
what
you
you're
want.
looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
They know what you want, and you don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, and
crunch your nails
she knew
trying to
exactly
figure out-
how to bring out the best in somebody. She could change people's faces in the most subtle way, but make a fairly plain girl look attractive by shadowing, and she was incredible.
That's why I stick with Lindsay,
Absolutely.
the gal that I use.
It
I
makes
mean,
a massive difference.
it's just. I mean, I've often scheduled a shoot around her schedule because it's just
Absolutely.
Lindsay,
Makes life so
what
much
do you want?
easier.
You know what I want. Go do it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do. I just check in once or twice.
Yeah.
Do it. Looks great. Looks
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just amazing.
So it's the same as assistants. I tried to keep assistants for long periods of time. I had assistants for like 8 years, then 6 years, and they usually fled to Australia eventually. I mean, 3 of them went to Australia. Get as far away from me as possible.
I've been over that joker. Oh my God.
But if you have to brief someone every time, they then understand how you work and how you set up and things. You don't have to brief them any longer.
Right. So how long are you in Miami this time around?
I'm leaving on Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Are you shooting anything or anyone in particular, or are you just kind of hanging out, enjoying the sun?
I'm trying to instruct these guys. Not fucking hanging out and enjoying the sun.
Oh, come on.
We're working here.
It's grafting, man.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we certainly appreciate you being here and spending time with us, and love
Thank
talking
you.
to you. Always, every time I see you, I just go, "Oh, here's a brother in arms." I love that. I really love that.
Thank
Yeah,
you. So it's reciprocated.
Thank you. It's an
Thanks
honor.
for taking the time, Byron.
Okay,
we
that's
really
that's
appreciate
a
it.
pleasure. That's
All right.
a pleasure.
Okay.
Bye now.
Great.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Camera Stew with guest Byron Newman. Stay tuned for more episodes with guests from the Shoot the Centerfold seminar.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on iTunes and on YouTube. And don't forget to share it with your friends. This episode and others are also available directly at camerastew.com. If you'd like to see some of our work, you can find links to each of our sites as well as the social networks we participate in, all listed in the bio page on camerastew.com. Rating and reviewing the show is, as always, a huge help. If you have any suggestions for the show or have someone you'd like us to talk with, please send us an email to camerastew@gmail.com. From all of us at Camera Stew, thanks for listening.